Yeah, Harwith, this is America. We don't believe in breasts. I really don't get it, right? I always wanted to give like censors a test where you just get 12 pictures where some of them are like man boobs and some of them are women's actual boobs. And so you have like some flat-chested women pictures, some big man boob pictures, some flat-chested men pictures, and some big boob women pictures, and just mix them up and then play them, like have them run through and then see how many of the censors can correctly censor the right ones. It guaranteed they will fail by their own standards, right? Because like those kinds of standards aren't enforced by the FCC, which is our censorship government, right? The FCC only tells people what the categories are, right? So they're saying we can't censor you because there is a First Amendment protection against government censorship of media. But for the sake of the consumer, we're going to offer guidelines. So the FCC has, teen guidelines, everyone guidelines, 17 and older guidelines, our guidelines. Like they're just guidelines. They're more like guidelines anyway, as as Barbosa would say, right? They can't. It's against the First Amendment to federally enforce the FCC, but the FCC can set guidelines for channels to follow. And even stronger than even some FCC regulations are, the sponsorship regulations, right? So Twitch's sponsors have certain guidelines that they want Twitch to follow. And they're very sensitive. For whatever reason, America is very sensitive about sexuality. We could show people getting their heads ripped off. We could show people, like, they televised the whole Lord of the Rings movie. And Lord of the Rings, by like a factor of 10, I'm pretty sure, has more on-screen deaths than any other franchise, right? Like, you think about Star Wars, a ship explodes, so you assume there's death, but you don't see the person in the ship exploding very often. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 in the original 3 episodes where you actually see the person in the explosion. And even then, it cuts away before anything happens, right? It's just guy, flash of light, cut, right? But in Lord of the Rings, like, the orcs get, like, an arrow in the throat when Boromir's getting shot with the arrows like 4 times. Like, there's some vicious stuff. And they're like, yeah, sure, sense it. PG-13, no problem. But you throw in like one too many boobs and they flip the fuck out, which I just don't get. Because I know, and so what I was getting at is that each company sets up their own guidelines for their own censorship rules based on those pressures, like the FCC pressures, the sponsorship pressures, and what their audience would be outraged by. So they've made up their own rules over time that they follow. And even going by the own rules that they made up, they would still fail the test that I just proposed. I recorded all of this and just realized it's just staring at me in a tiny little box with nothing happening on the screen, just rambling again. I think I'm gonna make a new YouTube playlist. This is gonna be I already have one rambling video from last week. I think we're just gonna keep making these, even though no one's gonna watch them.